DJ Smallwood, Slingin Dirt Media, found my way again. I'm back in Central Kentucky here. There's a reason for that. I can't pronounce some of the names of the places down here. You know, it's
some of them I have a hard time pronouncing.
I'm sitting here with the Wildchild. I got Micheal Chilton here at the table. Micheal, what's going on, man?
Oh, not much, just hanging out.
Yeah. Hey, man, thanks for taking the time. This was kind of a spur of the moment. I know we talked about it for a while, but man, I'm glad we were able to make this happen.
Yeah, we tried several times to make it happen, and scheduling and work and whatnot just didn't work out. But it timed out. You caught me when I had much going on this weekend. So
yeah, I just happened to have. I was supposed to go do a modified kid this morning down in Kentucky, and then I had it set up with another guy. So I was going to record a couple of them, and when one of those fall through, I'm like, okay, how can I fill this void? Because I don't want to cancel the whole day. But I don't want to make a big trip for one episode.
Yeah, for one episode.
This worked out.
Yeah, it worked out good.
So, man, where do we start?
I don't know.
How'd you get started in racing?
My dad had a street stock there. I guess it was like road hogs, what they called them back then. He raced it some, had Timmy Yeager and some other guys drive it, and I went to the races with my grandpa pretty much. Every Friday we'd go to Junction City. You know, they raced it weekly there. And then that a guy lived up the road from us had a go-kart for sale, just a little, cheap racing go-kart. And we swung in there one day, head home from work, and me and Dad looked at it, and I was, I think, 11 or 12, maybe even younger than that. And he bought it, and we started racing at Broadhead there just a little bit. They didn't race for money; it was just trophies. But, good learning experience. I guess find out if you liked it or not. And, done that for, I think, about 3/4 of that year. It may have been like in the spring when we started, early summer.
And you were how old?
I think 11 when we started doing that.
Okay. Yeah. Old enough to start getting the fundamentals down.
Yeah.
Gas, brake, steering.
Yeah. Which I mean, I had, I'd always liked racing, NASCAR or anything. I had all the NASCAR PlayStation games, the steering wheel on the computer and all that stuff, which back then was generic, but it was something fun for kids.
But it worked.
To do. It worked. It let you know if you like doing it or not.
And it would keep you there for hours on end, and you wouldn't realize how long you did it for.
Oh, I still will. I got iRacing now. I'll get on there some nights and just be on there forever.
And you don't realize how long you're on there.
You look up and it's 3 or 4 a.m.
Yeah.
But, we had the go-karts for a couple years, that 1 year, and then we got the mini cups, which are like the half size.
Okay.
We raced those on pavement. We raced a lot at Sportsdrome Speedway there in Jeffersonville. Raced with like Will Kimmel and a bunch of guys that actually Mahoney. We raced together in those. Raced those up till I was 15, and then just went straight to a late model from there.
Straight to a late model.
I did drive. Dad bought a Chevette. Buddy worked for Dad there and bought it and raced it. I think 1 or 2 times, and I think the motor blew up or something in it.
Okay.
I mean, it was fun. That was back when you had 30 of them, and there was like a swarm of them.
Was there much power difference between that and the go-kart? It didn't seem about
I feel like the Chevette had more power than the go-kart.
Okay. I've seen some go-karts that's got some ass.
Yeah, those mini cups, they were really actually underpowered for what they were, but it taught you to be real. It was all about being consistent and being smooth in those, which I'm not.
Learning those fundamentals again.
Yeah, and kind of how to pass a guy that wasn't, you couldn't just step out and pass a guy. You had to work on him for 5 or 6 laps. Or Mahoney he still gives me hell. Because the right side of my cars were always black marked all to hell. His cars, he didn't like for them to look bad. He looked for them to be pretty, and I think I used to throw the bumper to him pretty regular back in the day.
Okay.
We still cut up about it. So
that's funny.
Fun times, and it's neat that we race mini cups and come through the ranks and still do some racing together. So makes for fun times.
Now he's back. He's supposed to be racing again.
I think he's supposed to. He actually bought a motor off of us last year there and raced a couple races.
Yeah, I knew he had some motor problems last year and was sit out for a little while.
Yeah, I think he's trying to get something back together to race this spring when stuff gets fired back up.
He's another one that I've talked to. It's like, hey, we just got to get those schedules to line up.
It's harder, especially once you get older and you got a family and kids and this and that and work and racing. It's hard to come up with free time.
Yeah, and I totally get that. I totally understand and respect that man. You guys, racers, have lives too.
Yeah.
A lot of you guys still have full-time jobs
and
lives and racing. It's like, I don't know how you have spare time.
Yeah, some of the guys that race, 80, 90, 100 times a year, even though that's just their full-time job, I still don't see how they are able to balance the family life and racing and everything.
Yeah.
But I'll give props to them, they get it done.
Yeah. I know probably one of the things that led to, and when I decided, like, look, I'm done, I've had enough, and I raced pretty solid for 15 years, and then I had about 3 years it was kind of on and off. And my girls were younger, and I was the every other weekend dad. So I got my girls every other weekend, and then those weekends, man, I'm trying to race. I'm like, wait, this ain't working.
Too much.
This is not working. The girls ain't getting dad time. I'm not getting my daughter time when I'm racing. So I think I tried to cut back and just do, well, I'll just race every other weekend. The weekends I don't have the girls, then I'll try racing. Well, then I found out, well, I'm just falling farther and farther behind because I'm not on the gas every single night like some of these guys are. The guys that race multiple times a week, and it's like, yeah, this ain't getting any cheaper. I think I'm just going to go ahead and watch.
I feel like that's gotten worse because you race. There might be one midweek race. Maybe one a month or so.
Yeah, I
don't.
don't.
And now it's to where guys are racing. I mean, if you're not, Dalton Wilson and Turbo and them guys, they race. I mean, they race as much, if not more, than anybody. I mean, they're racing upwards of 100 times a year.
Yes.
We're racing 35. Like it just.
Yeah.
It don't take long to get behind. It's hard to stay on top, and even
if
be
you just do
competitive.
summer nationals, you're hitting that.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's a huge jump. You talked about go-kart Chevette, okay, straight to a late model. You didn't do any street stocks or no modifieds or nothing like that.
No, didn't do any of that.
That's
probably looking back. It probably would have been a good learning curve.
Maybe I should.
I'd probably been a little cheaper on Dad if he would have put me in. If they'd had a crate.
You seem like you've done okay.
Done all right, but now I tore up a fair share of stuff. I mean,
yeah.
I guess that's where I got the nickname Wildchild because I was pretty hard on stuff. Buddies, they all make fun of Travis. He always says that he used to help Kramer, and he makes the joke that everybody used to say because Dad mowing grass must pay good because that boy sure tears up a lot of stuff. So I learned a lot, I guess, just racing around local stuff.
Yeah. And I guess the more mistakes you make, the more you learn.
Yeah, you definitely you got.
It's an
that's how you learn. I mean,
the
more mistakes the bigger mistakes you really learn from them. Not what not to do, and try to keep yourself out of bad situations.
Yeah. It's man, they say you can buy experience, but man, I don't think you can. You can buy speed. You can't buy experience.
Some speed, but you can't buy experience.
You can't buy experience.
No.
I don't feel like that nothing just grabs you and learns you like just getting on doing it hands-on.
I agree 100%. I mean, it's one thing got to go out there. You can probably be fast without experience by yourself. Mm-hmm. But you see how like Davenport and Thornton and these guys in traffic. That's where that experience really I feel like excels them.
We've talked about you go back years ago when things were different, when things were built and not bought. Well, now we're here where kind of everybody's got the bought stuff, so now you've got to manipulate and do who can do what with the bought stuff. So maybe it's bringing a little bit of that ingenuity back to the sport, maybe.
Yeah, I feel like it's brought a lot of the ingenuity back, which is good in a way, but then it's almost bad in a way because a lot of these guys they're not figuring this stuff out on their own. They're you get over in the NASCAR area in the Carolinas, and there's so much technology over in there.
Yeah.
The money in late model racing now is so good that
there's a lot.
It's a lot. I really feel like, and a lot of people are going to disagree. On my level, it's hurt. Yeah. Because now you got guys that it's worth it for them to just sink hundreds of $1,000s in. And when there was, $10,000 was a big race 10 years ago.
Yes.
Well, now you've got multiple 50,000s, 100,000s. It's let a lot of people spend a lot more money, and invest a lot more, which is good. For the fans and whatnot.
Sure.
I feel like it's kind of hurt. It hurts our program a little bit just because we don't get to race as much, and
I feel like it's probably taken some, and I say some of you guys, like your local guys that are more now regional guys, because with late models have kind of a little bit priced themselves in the position they're in. Same thing with modifieds are doing that now also. It's like anybody that's diehard teams that are late model teams, there almost isn't any of that local weekly late model stuff. So you now have to adapt to become a regional guy.
Yeah, that's exactly. And it's kind of like I feel like, you're used to like the regional level and the national level. We're fairly close together. You would still see some regional guys jump in every now and then win a national race.
Sure.
The last time, off the top of my head, and I'm probably wrong, the last time that a local guy or regional racer won a Lucas Oil race was probably when Rice won the Latham.
I think so. That I'm aware of,
10, 15 years ago, regional. It didn't matter who showed up if
Right.
the regional guys and local guys were right together. But now I think there's such a difference between
There's a
the
huge
that
difference.
it's hurt the regional racing. It's not as lucrative for a guy to drive 3 hours to Lucas Oil race or World of Outlaw race. He's like, I'm just going to try to make the race. And 10 years ago, you feel like you probably had a shot to win the race.
He was a contender at some point. I know, like, if you go back through and you look at the list of names, like the North-South 100 we were talking about. So you look at those names and you go back 40 years ago, and probably half of the top 15 or something like that, maybe half the top 20 were local and regional guys. Yeah,
that's right.
That's way not happening.
It's not like that anymore at all. I mean, you might have one regional guy in the top 10.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll have nights, but on average,
Yeah.
But that's just what it's
I
come
feel like
to.
if you catch the right track and you got the right group of guys, Rice, Linville, Jameson. You can get the right mixture in, and maybe with the right heat races, you guys can be competitive.
We've had good
too.
runs there. We started on the front row at the North-South twice. I haven't been able to capitalize and even have a decent run out of it, but we broke one night.
Tough.
I think one night run 10th, but for us to run 10th at the North-South that's a pretty good accomplishment. Really, at the end of the day.
Making the North-South
is
a huge accomplishment.
We started on the pole one heat, won it that last year or a couple years ago, and started dead last, and the other one ran second, almost won it, and that was a pretty big deal for us. Even if we ran dead last in the feature, that was a good weekend.
That's got to be like an amazing feeling.
Yeah, it was. That was probably one of the more hyped up races I'd been at was that night. And it was just 2 heat races, but we ran really good in both, and this was a good start to the weekend.
So outside of a win, that's huge.
Yeah.
Tell me about your biggest win.
The biggest win. Probably the biggest win is like 10,053 or something. I think there's maybe 10,053. Won a couple of those Ray Cook races. The funnest race that I won was probably there was a Hargrove Memorial race. Lake Cumberland paid I think 10. Turbo was there, and there was some other good cars there. We won it, but probably my favorite race that I won was the North-South. Tazewell. They had a 10,000 win there, and McDowell hounded me the last 30 laps. It seemed like. I knew because McDowell's as good as anybody there.
Sure.
And to be able to hold him off, he was definitely better. I just didn't make a big enough mistake for him to get by me, and I knew Dale wasn't going to run over me. So that was probably one of my favorite wins, and that's a place that's not been good to me. So it was nice to get a big win there.
You mentioned beating Turbo, beating McDowell. Those aren't just regular local or regional guys.
They're pretty tough guys.
These are two guys that are pretty tough. That's a pretty big accomplishment.
I feel like we can do it when our stuff's good, and
when Lady Luck is on.
When we got some luck, and I will throw something together on the setup and hit it just right. We can run right with them, but as far as week in and week out, it's tough. But when they come down to our neck of the woods or places we're familiar with, it's definitely a little easier for us to run better than it is if we go to, say, Cedar Lake or somewhere I've never been. It'd be a little tougher for us.
And that's got to say something, a place that you're more familiar with. They're coming to your neighborhood. They're in your backyard.
Yeah. But sometimes, though, like
that don't always work.
It don't always work, and then, like, you think, well, War of Outlaws is coming to Ponderosa or Lucas is coming to Ponderosa, and we'll run good and go over there and just can't even line up. I'm like, what the heck are we doing? It's just the way it goes.
I have seen that firsthand too. I'm not going to mention names, but you take a local or regional guy that just whoops the dog shit out of them every week. And then the big boys come in town, and this guy can't even unload off the trailer right.
And it seems like that's just that. Sometimes
that looks bad.
It looks bad, but sometimes that's how it is. It seems like we have the silliest stuff happen, and when they come into town, but that's just part of it. Plans
for 25. Let's talk about that for a minute.
So we drove there. I drove for Danny Hatcher at the end of last year. Drove some crate stuff. Raced a Super twice, I think. We had some other stuff lined out, and weather just kind of canceled those plans. Going as far as going to Duck River and some other races. We're going to I'm going to keep one of my cars. Probably get rid of one. Work something out with Danny there.
Okay.
Maybe even put our motors in his cars. Kind of just try to put all of our resources together, and then maybe focus on being able to work on the car a little more,
Yeah.
not be as financially a burden on anybody, and just kind of put everybody's stuff together. And I think it'll be a pretty good deal for us.
Yeah. It seems like anytime you can combine resources, as long as the chemistry's right between the heads that work on it.
Yeah, that's
a big one.
It's definitely anytime you can combine some resources, and then I think we're gonna probably keep the car down Danny's most of the time. We'll bring it here on weeks he don't have time, and I'll bounce down back and forth and help work on it.
How far away is Danny's?
About 45 minutes to an hour.
Okay.
Depending on
That's not hateful.
No, it's not terrible. It's not
just
terrible.
enough to be an inconvenience.
Just enough to be a little bit of an inconvenience, but if I ain't got to work on it every night,
that's okay. Yeah.
Okay.
You'll deal with that.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you have a favorite track that you've been to, or is there a certain track that, man, you just can't wait to go back to because you know you like that place?
Bulls Gap's it's a place we've had good run. We've never won there. We've had some good races there. We've run top 3 at some Mortal Outlaw races there, and led the biggest part of a 15,000 there. And I let Marler get by me with a few to go. Raced with Madden a lot there. Learned a lot following him around that place. That's probably by far my favorite place to go to.
Bulls Gap.
When it's right, it's when it's not right, it's not that great. But when it's right, it's one of the funnest places you'll go to.
I feel like there's a lot of those. If things aren't right, this place ain't no fun.
Yeah. And everywhere's got their bad night. Every racetrack's got.
Yeah.
But when that place is right, it's by far one of the raciest joints, I think.
And it seems like things are a lot funner when you've got speed.
Oh yeah, for sure.
If you're struggling, it can make the best place a nightmare.
If you're struggling, you go somewhere that you love and you struggle. I'm never coming back here.
A lot of guys talk about, man, how much they love going to Eldora, how much they love Eldora, until they're about a half a second off. Then they're like, this sucks.
Yeah, we've been there too. I used to love Eldora. We've ran okay there. We've made a couple worlds, a couple dreams, won a couple heat races there. Haven't been probably in 5 years. It's just so daggone expensive.
Really?
Yeah, it's probably been at least 3 or 4 years since I've been there, just because it's got to where it's so expensive, and now it's a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday deal. You got to be up there. You got to leave here like Tuesday afternoon, to be there to load in, and it just makes it hard on a.
How do you like that format?
I like the fact that you get to race. You get more than just one race. Mm-hmm. One night there.
Right.
But it's a lot more expensive because you're going through 3 times as many tires.
Sure.
You got to be gone for longer as far as staying off work, scheduling work. You got to start scheduling out weeks ahead before that. To make stuff work.
Yeah. I've heard that from other teams. It's like,
really?
Hey, this is costing us a whole day of work, and we depend on our business to help pay for this stuff.
Yeah,
this costs us a day.
That's the worst thing about now. That it seems like there's so many of those deals that are going to 3 and 4 day shows.
Yeah. Which may be great for the fans.
Oh, it's excellent for the fans. I know the fans are like, oh, why the drivers complain, but it is good for the fans, and it's just makes it a little bit. It makes it harder on the regional guy, basically. At the end of the day, I think.
How do you like all the streaming we have now?
It's got its. It's. I don't know. Overall,
pros and cons.
It's neat that you can watch a race anywhere.
That's pretty cool.
But I also feel like it's probably hurt a little bit of your fan count, because I know several guys are like, well, am I gonna go out and sit in the cold and buy $8 hot dogs and $4 Coke when I can sit in the house and watch it on the couch and go straight to bed at 10:30. But your diehard race fans are still going. And they're just going back home and watching it again from a different angle.
Right.
But it's definitely neat. It's put a lot of. It's neat to be able to get on dirt and watch.
I am not gonna lie, and I've done this probably the last 3 years. I think I've only made it to the track on Friday or Saturday night at Eldora. Mm-hmm. Have it up on the big screen outside of the camper, sit there grilling, drinking my own beer, we're around the campfires having a great time.
Yeah.
We're still there. We're
still
camping.
There.
We're still spending all the same money.
You can see just as good as, you see stuff you can see stuff on there. If you miss something, you just rewind it and watch it back.
The first year I did that, my wife was there, and one of her friends and her boyfriend was coming up. So we're like, we're just going to miss this night, and we're just going to hang out here waiting for them to come up. I'm like, man, you know what? I really don't have to miss this. I can put the TV up and do this. She's like, what? Okay, whatever. So I set it up and just spur of the moment was like, hey, this kind of worked, and I'm not hating it. You know, I'm probably one or two away from never going back.
Yeah. Same way at football games. I mean, you see guys tailgating, got the game on the back of the truck, and it's pretty neat.
It's really neat. And then like this year, gosh, there was probably 6 or 8 of us that hung back at camp multiple nights and just sit there and watched it. And like I said, we grilled out and was.
It's a lot cheaper that way.
Well, I mean,
but you don't
other than the tickets.
Yeah.
Other than tickets, because you still drove up there, you still camped out.
You're just drinking your own beer.
I'm just drinking my own beer. Yeah, I still bought beer. Yeah, that's right. I just bought it from the store.
That's right.
But that was a pretty good experience. You know, I didn't hate it.
I could see that. I mean, I've seen several guys doing that.
There's no line for the bathroom.
No line for the bathroom.
You know, that's another thing. It's just dealing with the crowds. The crowds is great. We got to have the crowds. We got to have people there. But man, it gets to be stressful.
I'm not a crowd person.
Yeah.
Like I mean, you go to the bathroom, you got to wait in line for 15 minutes. You know, I just not a crowd person. Everybody crowded up around each other. But you got to have it. I mean, it's good for that's what the tracks have to have to survive. So
yeah. So that is an excellent time for us to go to. Let's talk about Micheal outside of the race car. What's this guy like?
Just depends from day to day. A little bit.
I love that grin.
A little different every day. Here lately, I haven't been doing a whole lot other than working. You know, trucking every day.
What do you do for work?
I've got my own truck. Just run semi-local stuff out of Cincinnati, Louisville, Richmond. You know, sometimes we'll bounce we'll run some FEMA loads down south during hurricane season. Hauling grain, fertilize, feed. Sand, rock, whatever.
So this gives you a lot of time to listen to radio.
Yeah, a lot of radio.
What's on your playlist?
It's a broad spectrum from this end to that end. I've got a mix of everything.
That's what I'm talking about.
You might have Lil Wayne on one song, and the next thing might be Charlie Daniels. You just never know what you're going to get.
Dude, I've got the list. I've got multiple playlists, and some are just a collaboration of everything. Some is just my country music. Some is just my rock music. I still listen to some of my old school skating rink jam stuff, like the 80s breakdancing music.
Yeah, like I said, I got everything on. You never know what's going to be on the next station.
What's your favorite restaurant?
Probably Malone's in Lexington.
Okay. I've heard this name before.
Yeah, it's just.
I need education. I need some more good stuff. It's
a good steakhouse there. I mean, it's just they got like Coach Cal, and like they got a bunch of used to go there a lot of famous guys. Okay. There's like where they sign their menus and stuff.
Memorabilia stuff.
Yeah, it's just a real good steakhouse. Yeah, that's the only way to put it.
Your buddy Dustin was telling me about that.
Oh, does he like it too? Yeah. Everybody from around here, most people say Malone's if you want to stay. A little pricey, but it's good.
Yeah. Me and Victor are buddies. We didn't sit down and record an episode yet, but we were talking, and I was at Victor's, and he said, best place around was Cattleman's. He said, man, we go to Cattleman's all the time. We just got a Cattleman's up there by us, so it's like I've been there a couple of times. Like it's pretty good.
And for Victor, I mean, being right there in Danville, Cattleman's is 10 minutes away. Versus your 45 minutes to Malone's. Cattleman's a lot more enticing, and you ain't got to deal with the traffic in Lexington.
Yeah, that's traffic. How are you dealing with traffic? I mean, I knew what I have to deal with in traffic. I couldn't imagine dealing with traffic in a big truck.
It's not terrible. It's not. I mean, there's days it's just like you pull your hair out, but overall, it's not that bad.
So you've learned to have patience.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more patient now than I was for sure 4 or 5 years ago.
4 or 5, okay, that's better than saying 10 years.
Yeah, my road rage just went down some. I mean, I'm still known to blow the horn or snap at somebody occasionally.
Right. Tell them
overall, it's not. Yeah, tell them they're number one. Overall, it's not terrible.
Okay.
Which I don't go into down. I've kind of figured out the routes on where to stay away from at what times, and kind of plan my day out beforehand and try to stay out of the busy areas at rush hours.
Okay. Are you a superstitious guy? Is there anything particular like race day, you've got to do this or you got to do that?
No, not really. I mean, I know some people who don't eat chicken. You can't have green on your race car. I mean, I've heard all kinds of stuff. I'm really not. I don't have any superstitions as far as the race day.
I like this one. Does your race car have a name?
Yeah, they all have had different. Everyone has had a different name.
Okay.
Just some of them I picked out. So like the first one of the first cars that we named, actually, the first couple didn't have names. We bought one from Marler that was named Titus. It was probably one of the better cars, the best blue-gray rocket we ever had. And ever since then, we just kind of named them. We've had Guinevere, Titus. I mean, we've had all kinds of different.
Josh Rice is stuck on the Bettys.
That's what I was at the Dome. We were trying to figure out what he's going to name his next Betty car. But
yeah,
he's going to run out of Bettys before long.
He's going to run out of Bettys unless there's some Bettys I don't know.
Yeah,
about.
I don't know. That's what we were trying to figure out. Betty Boop's the only one we figured he hadn't had yet, so I figured that'll probably be.
It's got to be coming soon.
Got to be coming.
I guess you really don't. I guess it kind of comes with when you get the car. Where's that name coming from?
Yeah, I've let my wife name one. The kids got to watch it. I can't even remember the name of the movie, but there was this tricked out van on it named the kid had named Guinevere.
Okay.
They named that car after that, so it's just kind of hit or miss. Whatever comes to mind one day.
Yeah.
And like the car we bought out of Florida, the guy's wife who had it, his name was Tammy, and had a sticker inside that had Tammy.
Yeah.
So we just peeled it off the cockpit and stuck it back on the bumper where that car was Tammy.
Named Tammy.
Yeah, we just named it Tammy. It only made one race, so we junked it the first night out. So I guess maybe Tammy wasn't a good name.
That wasn't a good one.
Wasn't a good name. No more Tammys.
No more Tammys.
Yeah,
we don't like Tammys.
No.
Give me your top 3 movies, all-time movies.
Days of Thunder's got to be, of course. I'm not a big movie guy. Let's see, Days of Thunder, the original Top Gun, I do like. And then I'll probably go with, I don't know, the kids have been watching Elf lately. It's just,
Elf. Yeah, it's Christmas.
It's just Christmas and funny, so we'll go with Elf.
Yeah. Have you seen any of the new Christmas movies? There's one with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Haven't seen those yet.
So he's like the Christmas Santa Claus bodyguard.
Hadn't seen it.
Check that one out. I won't give you any details. Let the kids enjoy that one.
You gotta say kid friendly one.
Yeah,
we'll check
I think
it
that
out.
one's kid friendly.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
They've heard, if it's just got cuss words, they've heard plenty of those around this race shop. If
there's a race car, they've probably heard worse.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
What's the other one? There's one with Jack Black. I think it's called Dear Santa.
I hadn't seen that either.
You need to check this one out too. I don't want to give you a whole lot, but it's funny.
Pretty good.
The kid's writing a letter to Santa. He misspells Santa.
To Satan. I've seen previews or something for that on Netflix. Yeah, it looks like
that's a good one.
Good, yeah.
It's funny. Yeah. Check that one out.
Let's check it out.
Back to racing. 25, you're going to hook up with Hatcher. And you guys are just kind of look at the schedule and see what makes sense and go from there.
As of right now, we're just going to kind of see what makes sense. I mean, he's got a crate car. We'll probably do some of the bigger crate races that are around. And
I hear there's a big one coming up. Is at Ponderosa.
Yeah, I think they're supposed to have a big one.
Big one.
We'll see what happens there.
Pretty hefty entry fee.
Yeah, the entry fee on that one, I don't know. That's a little steep. I don't know how that's going to work, but a little odd for sure. But he's got a few places on his bucket list that he's mentioned. I've got a few on mine that I haven't got to go to yet.
Right.
Like Fairbury, I've not been there. Wouldn't mind to go there.
It's a pretty nice place.
I wanted to go just to even watch. I'm like, well, I'd rather go take a car. The Dome. I haven't been there yet.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just kind of, we'll see how we're running. If we're running really good, then we can probably hit up some bigger races. If we're struggling, we're more, likely to stay local with the smaller stuff.
I can't wait to see the Northern All-Star schedule.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting myself.
Yeah,
I'm like,
that was a good. Every race we went to those last year was a good deal.
Yeah. What about? God, I just lost it. Talking about the Northern All-Stars. Tell me Tammy. Tell me about your worst wreck. You said you tore that car up. I'm going to assume that wasn't your worst wreck.
Everybody else probably. It was at Bristol.
Okay.
Two cars got together. We were mid-pack, and I tried to get under it, and stuff happens so fast there.
Yeah.
Jensen Ford he spun down the track. Somebody spun him. He spun down the track and caught the halo bar. Actually ripped the whole entire halo bar out of the right side.
Really
didn't. It tore the rear end out, and it looked like it was. It just caught the frame in a spot that really can't really be fixed.
Yeah.
But the worst wreck probably, I got hooked. I think it was Tate Davenport got him the wall at Eldora back it's probably been 8 or 9, 10 years ago.
Okay.
Coming off 2 and spun down the right, and I was trying to get away from him, so I was down against the inside wall, and he spun down and barely clipped the Rayburn cars had the wraparound bumper. He got the outer edge of that bumper, and I hit the opening to go out of the racetrack there head on.
Going to the opening in turn 3 there.
Yes, like it went from the inside wall head on up and hit that opening, and I guess I blacked out for just. They said there was a picture of me, like, coming across the racetrack with my head down, like I'd blacked out, but I don't remember that. But I have.
There's a reason you don't remember.
We had to cut that car off at the firewall and pull the motor out of the racetrack, and we loaded in. We had a tag trailer then, and loaded in the trailer backwards with a winch. I mean, there was no. It was mangled.
There wasn't a lot of fixing on that.
We literally, I mean, we could have pulled the motor out the seat, fuel cell, and probably part of the rear end, and just left the rest of it there and been better off. You don't leave a bunch of stuff laying out the door. They probably let you come back.
Yeah. God, like, whose junk is this?
Yes, exactly.
Do you have? Tell me about your biggest rival. And is it a friendly rival, or is it like, oh man,
I don't
not
know.
that guy?
I mean, I've had some that's been unfriendly. Like one time, me and Linville weren't the friendliest, and then got back to where we buddies again. I mean, at the end of the day, racing, you may not like somebody, but
yeah.
At the end of the day, you still usually end up liking them. I mean, friendly rivals probably me and Rice.
Okay.
We both raced each other pretty hard and laid on each other a few times. And everybody's like, well, y'all race each other like you hate each other. We just want to beat the other.
No, that's just racing.
And then I don't get to race with him much anymore. Probably Skyler Marler.
Okay.
When he raced supers, we're real big buddies, and we haven't really got to race together in the past couple of years. But every time, I did get to pass him at the crate race at Richmond. I drove Danny's car.
Oh, okay.
And I was probably more excited about passing him than I was, for passing cars that were up, higher up position there. But that's probably the friendliest rival.
Okay. Do you have any hobbies outside of racing?
Not really. We'll go to the lake some in the summer.
Okay.
I ain't got a boat, but a couple buddies do. Debated on buying one, but I mess around on iRacing of the evening, and it'll turn into midnight, 1, 2 o'clock a lot of times on there. And the kids got Charlie's in volleyball, Gavin's been in football. So between that and racing and trucking,
busy.
There ain't what hobby you have left is going to be late at night when everybody else is in bed. So
it's hard to hunt at night like that.
Yeah. Hunting, I never really have been big on hunting. Went a time or two back when I was 18 or 17, 18 years old. But I can't sit still. I can't sit still. I used to fish. I got the pond back here's got a bunch of bass and crappie, and I used to burn it up every day. I'd come home from work and fish for an hour or two, and that was back before I had kids.
It's convenient when you have it right here.
Yeah, it's convenient. Well, the kids we'll go down there and mess around sometimes. I enjoy it, but I don't have time to really.
I fished a lot when I was a kid. I loved it, and then I feel like I graduated to hunting, and then I kind of quit the fishing, and then I loved hunting, did a lot of deer hunting, and then got into racing, and I ain't got time for nothing.
That's kind of how I don't have time for any other hobbies. It seems like hunting, I have trouble sitting still anyway. I couldn't go and sit still.
I loved fishing, and I've still done some fishing. I don't do it very often, but it's like I feel bad or I feel guilty. It's like I don't have time to sit here. I feel like I should be doing something
productive
somewhere. I just think I got time for this.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Other than late models, you said you went straight to Schvetz. Do you have is there any desires or anything else that you would like to try to drive?
I'd love to drive a midget, or like a chili bowl. Even a sprint car would be fun.
Yeah.
But if I got to drive one other thing, I mean, those guys will those midgets. Like we went to Chili Bowl last year. It's the first time I'd seen them in person. And, I mean,
they're pretty wicked.
They're wicked. It's not just. It's a lot harder than it looks.
Yeah.
Which I mean, anything is. I ain't taking one thing away from the other. But
if
I could drive anything, it probably would be a midget.
Yeah. Those guys put on. I've seen them at the Dome. I was there for the
when
Dome.
they were
Dome
there. Race.
That was pretty. I thought they put on a great race. And this last year, I seen the Extreme Midgets. Same car, same everything, just different series.
Okay.
And they raced at Spoon River. And man, those guys, they were just getting it.
I mean, they're on the wheel and sawing. I mean, you don't realize how much they saw back and forth on them.
Yeah, I mean, and that's another thing. The wheels turn like this.
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah, it's wild. I'd say sitting in one of those would be pretty neat.
I've sat in a TQ.
Have you?
And just everything was so much different. really fun, but just so much different. And when you're used to doing sitting in a car like this, now you're sitting up like it. It's way different.
When I'd race those mini cups, Spencer Jones, him and Trevor out of Clarksville, we were buddies with them, and they had some of the mini sprints, like 600cc mini sprints. I raced one of those at Linton, Indiana, there one night. I actually ran decent in it and wheel hopped somebody and broke the chain because it was all chain driven, but it's the only time I drove anything like that. But I enjoyed it. I mean, it's honestly been so long since I raced it, I kind of forgot what it was like.
Yeah. I knew, I think Moeller does, I think once or twice a year they have the D2 midgets. I think they're still USAC, but the D2s, they're not the Toyota and Ford motors, but they're more like the Hondas and things like that. I think it's like the same size car and everything, just a different engine configuration stuff. Yeah. And those guys put on a great show at that track.
The midgets anywhere, I mean,
they're good.
They're good.
They put on a show.
I mean, you can be 5 car lengths behind a guy and just drive it off in there and slide him, and then it just turns into a slider fest.
Yeah.
I mean, what's better? That's the best part about dirt racing is slide jobs. I mean,
it can be.
It can be the worst part if you're on the wrong end of it.
Depends on which car you're in.
Yeah. I mean, as far as fans watching, I mean, there ain't nothing more exciting to watch than guys just repeatedly sliding each other back and forth, for laps in a row.
I saw a race, and I still swear to this day, this is probably one of the best races I've ever seen. I've seen some really good races. It was a street stock race at Eldora, and what it was one of back when I used to have the Prelude. The NASCAR drivers all drove the late model stuff. Well, they had the modifieds and the stock cars as like the in-between races, a filler race. And you could tell all the NASCAR people were there, and they're watching the Cup drivers, and it was a NASCAR crowd. These people were not, for the most part, not dirt fans. Ernie Woodward, and Jeff Babcock. Babcock was still in a stock car before he went to late model and all that, and I think this was before he got in a modified. I am not exaggerating when I say those two guys, they changed position for the lead 4 times every single lap.
Double sliding each other.
Oh, my God. Yeah. I mean, they would pass each other down the straightaway, in the corners, back down the straightaway, into the other end of the track. I mean, it was like, this is one of the best races I've ever seen. And these people are like, have no idea what's going on. I'm like, you guys are missing the entertainment.
Sometimes those cars, I mean, them cars are not easy to drive. You can set back, they're probably harder to drive as far as, I mean, they got sloppy steering compared to like a late model. Like, even like the hobby stocks down to Lake Cumberland. Yeah. I mean, them guys are sailing off in there and wheeling those things. I mean, they put on some good races.
When you go with something that basically has a stock type suspension, stock steering, and stock brakes, it is not made for. It was not set out and designed from GM to
be sliding in. But they're fun to watch. I enjoy watching those, grassroots guys still.
Yeah. I've talked with guys that make the change or have to go through the adjustment. The guys that will run a late model and a modified in the same night. That is 2 completely different animals to get in and try to tame.
Yeah, I've never drove a model. I drove one a long time ago, and it was like a leaf spring car. It was way, but I'd say that is a big deal. I mean, you can just tell by watching the way they drive. In-car videos and stuff, they don't drive.
I feel like now their suspension and stuff, it's way closer. But you're still dealing with stock style geometry in the front end and stock style steering and calipers and little tires.
It's still a lot different feel, I'm sure, than a late model.
Is there anything particular or anything that stands out that you're looking forward to the most in 25?
Just getting back and having some good runs to start off the year. Like last year, we started off fair, and then it was just downhill from there. Like we broke 3 or 4 rear ends, motor. I don't think we actually ever broke. We maybe broke one motor, but it was like we blew oil line, just dumb stuff that never happens. Like I think the first 10 races we may have finished 1 or 2, and it makes it hard to get motivated, come here and work on it when you just had a rough.
When you're having a string of bad luck, it's like, man, it's hard to snap.
It's hard to ever snap it. And like I said, I just kind of parked my stuff there for a while just because I was fed up with it. And then I don't know. We had a lot of fun that racing with Danny at the end of the year. I mean, it was relaxed. It wasn't
change of pace.
It was a change of pace, and like it just almost like clicking a reset button.
Yeah.
And everything went pretty smooth. And
sometimes that's what you got to do.
Yeah,
this is not an easy sport.
No,
it's like a job within
yeah, it's more of it's probably more physically demanding than my job. I mean, honestly, but it's a lot of hours if you want to do it and do it right.
Yeah, it is, and that's the thing. You know, the fans and viewers and stuff. You know, people just don't realize how much time is spent in the garage and working on these things.
I know how much time we spend here in the shop working on it. I couldn't imagine the hours that like the Lucas team, the top tier teams, how many hours that car and tires have during a week without wrecking.
Accumulated.
I mean, how many hours accumulated have been put in?
Yeah.
Like, I'd like to see what that actual number is.
Because it's generally not just one guy; it's multiple guys.
3 or 4 guys. I mean, between cleaning the car, the truck, the hauler, just general maintenance.
I don't know how they do it.
I don't either.
I'm not a mathematician, but my math ain't math at all.
My math ain't mathing exactly. But they get it done.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Good for them. I'm glad they do because they put on great shows for us.
Yes, they do.
Cool. Michael, before we wrap things up, here's your opportunity. This is the time where who do you got to thank? Sponsors, friends, crew guys, all that stuff. Who's put you here and who do you need to recognize?
First off, Steve Chilton, Chilton Industrial Painting. He helped out when I first got a year or two. He helped Timmy Yeager back in the day when he drove for R&P. Kind of helped them out with motors and he's helped several guys. A lot of people that didn't even know that they were getting, who he was helping. He's helped us out with motors for 10 years or plus. I mean, he's took care of us on all that. And if we need anything, all I do is make a phone call and he'll help take care of it. By far, he's been the biggest help. And then, like I say, Danny with this year, it's going to be hopefully it's going to be a whole new turn the page kind of deal. We'll see a new chapter. We'll see how that goes. Bobby of the Urban Enterprises, he's helped me for the past 10 years, doing bodies, maintenance on the car, washing, just whatever needs to be done.
Yeah, the hands-on stuff.
Hands-on guy. Rick Purvis, he kind of started going races with us and helping us out there last year, or 2 years ago now, and he's a big help. Fun time at the racetrack. I mean, just a good guy to cut up with.
Yeah.
SFP Performance, they've helped us out on oil lines, set in stone. Hills Truck Repair, CNC Ready Mix. I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody. Dan at Bluegrass Radiator, he's kind of helped us out with radiators for years. Buddha, Burt Transmissions, he's kept us. I've sent a mini back to him to be repaired. I've been hard on a few of those. And my wife, Kristen, putting up with a lot of hours putting this stuff together. And,
the wives take a lot.
They take a lot. They take a lot more than everybody thinks they do. They're kind of the backbone on that deal. Not just that, but when you got weekends, you're like, I freaking suck. What the heck am I doing? And they're the ones that pick you back up and keep you going. So definitely a big shout out to them.
Sometimes you need that solid rock.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. But I think I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody, but.
One of my favorite things is, and I love it, and almost every single guy does it.
Turn around, look at the car.
Turn around, look at the car.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing we got a car sitting here.
Hey, I got the pit box over here. I'm scanning off it.
You got a cheat sheet.
I got a cheat sheet right back there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Michael, again, man, I can't thank you enough for squeezing me in and making this happen. I know, like I said, it's one of those things we've talked about
doing it for a year.
Yeah, we've tried to line it up, but it's just the way it goes sometimes.
That's right.
Cool. Well, thanks, man. Appreciate you. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys like it at home. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all that great stuff. And we'll see you at the track next week. Thanks.